This video will show you how to use the Look Eye Tracking module in the Accent 1400 with Empower. You will learn how to position the device for eye tracking, how to adjust the calibration settings, how to calibrate the settings for the user's eyes, and how to adjust the selection and feedback settings.
Today we're going to take a look at using the Look Eye Tracker on the Accent 1400 running Empower software. To get started with your eye tracker, first select Menu, then Toolbox, Access Method menu, and select Eye Tracking. When this menu opens, the eye tracker will automatically be active. To pause the tracker, you can click on the blue box, or you can use the drop down at the top by simply looking at it to resume your tracker or pause it. The positioning window will give you some indicators as to your positioning. At the top, you have your horizontal positioning left to right. The goal is to get these dots into the center. On the right-hand side, I have my vertical positioning, my height. Again, I want that centered along the y-axis. At the bottom, you have a distance readout that will tell you how far away from the device you are. As you get closer or further, you'll see the readout change. The aim is to be about 24 inches from the device. When you're in good positioning, it will tell you that you're ready to calibrate. You can immediately calibrate, or if you need to, you can adjust your calibration settings. The first setting you can change is the number of calibration points that you're going to calibrate against. The more points that you calibrate to with good calibration, the more accurate the system will be. But you do have an option to use something like a 0-point calibration for someone who's not really ready to calibrate, but you want to get their eyes tracking on the system and do some activity-based learning. You can use 1 point, 2 point, 5 points, or 9 points. The default is 5, and it's recommended to start there and adjust if you need to. You can also adjust which eye the tracker will follow. You can set that to both, or you can pick just the left or just the right. So if you had an eye condition that affected your left eye and it was giving bad data to the system, you could tell it not to track the left eye, just track the right eye only and use the better eye. You can also adjust your calibration background color that you want to calibrate with. You can also adjust the stimulus that you use to calibrate. The default is this circle with a red dot in the middle. Really helpful because it gives the user something to focus on in the center of the calibration point. You can also pick some animated images if that helps. And you can change the size of the stimulus. Again, recommended to start with defaults and adjust only if needed. Once you've set up your calibration settings and you're positioned, you're now ready to calibrate. Let's see what that looks like. So now I'm just tracking the dot around the screen. I'm just going to follow it and look at it. I'm looking at the red circle in the center. And when I'm done, it tells me how accurate my calibration was. On the left, I have a key here that shows me the left eye is indicated by green and the right eye is indicated by blue. The closer these are to the calibration points, the more accurate the system will be. If you feel like your calibration wasn't good, you can recalibrate from this menu. You also get a readout as to what stimulus you used and the background color that you calibrated to. When you're done, select Finished, and now you're ready to use the system. I'm set up in the Unity target practice activities, so I can just do some simple target practice, get used to using the eye tracker. It's a good way to get started with the system. Let's take a look at shrinking targets. A couple of different stimulus options here. Let's do like a whack-a-mole kind of thing. I'll start with really big buttons, 4, it's a grid of 4. So it'll be 4 big buttons, and only one of them is showing at a time, and then it gradually gets smaller as I go. So now I can start using my eye tracker, but it's paused. So let me just unpause it by selecting the track status. You'll notice there that this allows you as the device user or as a clinician or caregiver to keep track of what's happening with the tracker in the user's eyes. So I can touch that to resume the tracker. And now all I do is look at my targets. Now I'm going to an 8-button grid, 15-button grid, and these gradually just get smaller. If I need to take a break, I can look up to the pause resume dropdown, take a break, look around. Nothing will select at that point other than resuming the system. Again, the clinician or caregiver can select the track status to resume the system as well. If I get tired of this activity, I can go to menu, select go to home, and I can pick something different. So that's with the default, that's with the dwell selection. Let's look at the other selection options that we have. If I go to menu, toolbox, access method, eye tracking, I can now look at my eye tracking settings. The first tab is my selection, and I can choose a selection type. Again, default is dwell. I can adjust that time up or down. For someone who's just getting started, getting used to using eye tracking, you're doing target practice, you want maybe a really quick immediate feedback, decrease your dwell time, make it really fast, make it really easy, they get immediate feedback, they don't have to hang on the button a long time. As you add more targets to the screen, you have more options to pick from. They might need more processing time to see what's there, to look around, explore. Then increase your dwell time and give them more time to think about what's on the screen and make distinct choices. Then start to refine from there. You can also have a blink select where you blink your eyes to make your selection. We have a default here, which the minimum blink duration is just a little bit longer than a natural blink, and the maximum blink duration is shorter than falling asleep. So somewhere in there, you blink an intentional blink, and it will make a selection on the screen. The final option is to use a switch, where your eyes move the cursor or dwell feedback around the screen, and then when you get to the thing that you want, you select a switch, and that will make your selection. And you have some adjustments there that you can make to your switch. Okay, so you can set up how you're going to select. You're calibrated. The last thing we'll look at here is the feedback that you get on the screen. So you can choose to have a cursor that moves around with their eyes. You can have dwell feedback, so what happens when you start to hover on a button for a little while, and what happens at the point that you've selected a button. So the cursor can either be on or off. You have 2 different options of cursor styles. You can change the size. You can also adjust the color of the cursor. So maybe you want a red cursor or something like that. Okay. So now, when I resume, you'll see that I have a red cursor that's following my eye movement. If I go to dwell feedback, this is what happens at the point that I start to dwell on a button. You can set that to none. You can have a circle, or you can have a square. You can adjust the size of that. You can adjust the color of it. And you can also give it a little bit of animation where it shrinks. So as you dwell on a button, the pointer will shrink. And when it fully collapses, then it makes a selection. You can add some other feedback as well. You can have it invert the buttons as you go over them. You can have it draw a border around the button. Okay, invert would invert the color of the button. A border will draw a border around it. Or you could have it fill the button with a color. And again, these colors are adjustable on the left-hand side. You can adjust the pointer color, which is this square. Or here, because I have a fill, I could also change the fill color. You can add custom colors if you like. Finally, you can select what happens at the point of selection. So you could have nothing happen. You can have it invert the button. That's my preference. You can have it draw a border around the button, or you can have it fill. And having different colors can make that more obvious. I'll keep mine at invert. You can also have it beep when you make a selection, so you get some sort of auditory feedback. And then you can adjust the volume of that beep in here as well. So now this is a lot of feedback. I wouldn't typically recommend this, but this is just to show you I have a cursor. I have something that happens at the point that I start to dwell on a button, and then it inverts when I select.
For more information, visit our website at www.printrom.com.